Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Intentional Productivity Tips. I am Megan. I am your very favorite strategic productivity partner, and I want to thank you for joining me today, where we are going to talk about spooky myths about remote work. We're going to talk about separating fact from fiction. We're going to talk about tricks, actually the treats of working in remote work. The treats of remote work and why it's such a good thing and can help us be productive. First, I want to thank you for joining me on USA Global TV's radio YouTube channel, where please remember to like, subscribe, and be notified when new episodes drop of both intentional productivity tips and check out all of the programming that is available. You'll find something to connect with and make your life a bit better. So today we are going to talk about spooky myths. Today we are talking about remote work, and we are specifically talking about how to wave our wand to unlock the sweet spot of remote work. Let's be honest, over the last year or so, remote work is not getting the best PR, can we say? When we think about it, so I started working in remote work. I moved from corporate brick and mortar buildings to the remote world in about 2014. Haven't looked back, love it. Do not look to work in a brick and mortar building again. During the pandemic, we saw the world was kind of joining, right? And realizing that we do not have to sit in an office every day to get things done. We can work, just add Wi-Fi. Well, we know that 5 years post-pandemic, whatever we want to call the end date, we want to say in October of 2025, there are many companies that are coming back and saying, we're not down with the remote work thing. They're seeing the tricks in it. I'm here to say we are going to look at 5 remote myths today, and we're going to talk about how we can wave that wand to the sweet spot and find out how remote work can work for you. Today, our goal on today's episode, by the end of today, you will change your remote work perspective. The reality is, when it comes to remote work, there are spooky myths out there. But today we're going to separate fact from fiction, right? Because trick or treat, finding the sweet spot of remote work is powerful. It brings out the best in your team. It brings out the best in your company. And it just is an excellent practice for you as you grow. Just like our friendly ghosts, we're separating fact from fiction today. We're going to discover when we trade fear for focus, remote work becomes pure magic. So let's look a little bit today at how we're going to break apart the tricks and treats, and we're going to make remote work for us. So when we think about it, there are a lot of times, and I have had many times when people find out that I work remote and they'll kind of be like, oh, how can you do this, right? So what we're going to do today is we're going to unlock the 5 myths, right? We're going to unlock 5 myths that can oftentimes be caught in a web of remote tricks, not realizing the treats. So we're going to look at 5 things. Boo, help, I'm lost in the remote world. What do I do? Today, we're going to talk about what the myth is. We're going to talk about the reality, and we're going to share solutions for these 5 trick or treat processes that make remote work better. Second, no goblins here, spectacular ways to connect. We know a lot of times people are thinking in a remote world, we can't stay connected, which is absolutely not true. No skeletons in our closet, staying connected as a team, not just individual, but how do a group stay connected? And then I'm not ghosting. Here's my hauntingly good progress. Sometimes people think, hey, if I'm remote working, how are people going to know how awesome I am? That is a good question, and I have a solution for it today. We're going to find the treats of that, not the tricks. And then 5th, monsters, myths, and managing disconnection, how we can stay connected in the remote world. And that is our goal today. So we are unraveling the tricks of remote work to find the treats for you and your team. So let's look at the first one, right? When we think about remote work, again, people will say boo. But if we look to some wise people, we can learn some lessons, right? It's not worth hiding from remote work. Instead, we should celebrate the treats that it has to offer. Jack Dorsey said it, I think, really well when he said, the best business decisions come from a variety of perspectives. We are all better when we're together, even if we're apart. When we think about it, I was working with a client on Monday morning, and he was talking about the area in which he lives. And he does need to have somebody that is working physically in his office. That happens. We get it, right? One of the things we realize is when we start to say we have to have people in a specific geographic location, maybe then we need to say, oh, they need to be in this location and they need to have this certification. What we're doing is we're limiting our pool, right? The thing to remember with remote work is that we are expanding our opportunities, we're expanding our teams, we're expanding our perspectives and our experience. So there really can be some powerful things with remote work. So it's worth looking through what people might consider the tricks and look how to turn them into treats so that our remote work experience is the best positive. Again, I'll tell you, one of my very strong work considerations, I do not want to work in an office again. Remote work is a key priority to me when thinking about projects and work that I do. Not to say I won't go on site for meetings, but just to say driving to an office every day, not so much for me. So let's look at how we then can make remote work for us so we are more productive. So let's look at the first trick that we're turning into a treat, right? So we're looking at 5. The first trick we're turning into a treat is, boo, help, I am lost in the remote world. I am lost in the remote woods, right? The complaint can be, I'm overwhelmed with learning new programs or apps while working remotely. How am I supposed to figure this out, right? The positive perspective of that is that realistic? Yeah. Are there things and apps that we're going to have to learn in the remote world? Yes. Are there apps and things we're going to have to learn if we're in an office as well? Yes. So how do we deal with it? A positive perspective is embracing opportunity to learn and grow in a new remote environment can lead to valuable skills, right? It's not just our skills that we're looking at in the remote environment, but we are going to have we're going to have situations when we're remote. It's just me and my laptop. Here I am in my home office. I have to figure something out. I don't know what to do. Let's look at some solutions. Because we have to remember there are ways to go from boo to clarity. We can navigate our path to remote success, right? So maybe it's learning something new. What can we do? There are solutions. We live in a remote world, right? We live in an online world. We live in a world where there are things that are available a lot. One of the things to remember, if you're working in a remote world and you don't know how to do something, utilize YouTube. Utilize tutorials that are available. Tutorials and online tools have come so far. I'll be honest, there was a long time I did not believe in them because I was like, oh, they're crap. But that's not true. Online tools, tutorials, YouTube videos, extremely helpful in finding things out. Also, phone a friend for advice. Ask people. One of the things I loved when I worked on the Upwork professionals team is that there was always a network of people online that I could be like, help, I don't know how to. And someone would jump in and show me, right? As quick as a screen share. So when we think about it, if we ask for help, now, when we're working remotely, we have to be more bold and we have to be more aggressive in asking for help. We can also phone a friend, join a LinkedIn or Facebook group, hire, if there is something you have to learn and you aren't sure how to do it, hire someone on Fiverr or Freelancer or Upwork, right? Keep in contact with past project collaborators so you can go back to them for ongoing support. So when you think about it, is there going to be a reality when you're working remote that there's going to be things you don't know how to do? Yes. Can that be frustrating? Yes. Is there a way to bypass that? Yes. Identify solutions. Who can teach you? What can teach you? How can you learn? This is something that you can take control of so you can learn stuff, because when you learn things remotely, people are more impressed by you. Not a lie. Can honestly tell you that. Okay, so that was our first trick or treat. From boo to clarity, we don't have to be lost in the woods. We can get help. Now let's look at trick or treat number 2. No goblins here. Spooktacular ways to stay connected. I will say at the beginning when I went to remote work, I missed having an office where I saw people every day, right? It can be difficult to maintain connections individually while working remotely. Yeah, that is true. But the positive perspective is building a supportive network and expanding the global reach, your connections can enhance collaboration and improve the experience, right? Granted, we have to be intentional if we're building relationships and connections online. Absolutely, in a remote world. We have to be intentional because we're not walking by someone. There is no water cooler technically, right? We're not physically in the same proximity. So we have to create those opportunities. But there are solutions. One of the things I always say, when it comes to goblin gathering, there are fun ways to forge connections remotely. One thing I always say, identify your A-team. I call my A-team my angels. Who's available to connect? Who can I contact? Who can I text? Who can I message? Who can I set a happy hour with, right? So one of the solutions is to stay connected with an A-team. Another one, again, set up virtual happy hours or Zooms or coffee chats with people. Set them up in advance, set them up regularly. I have people I meet with quarterly. I have people I meet with when their son goes to the dentist office. It's being intentional to set up appointments and set up time. Be intentional to set up. Now, when you are remote, you do have to be intentional, right? We know there can be times when we might get frustrated or we might get busy or it might be cold and we might want to hermit. It's important when we are working remote, we have to have that active solution of, okay, I'm going to find my goblins to gather with, right? I'm going to find fun ways to forge with people remotely. Another option is to join professional groups to meet like-minded individuals. True story. The reason that I am on USA Global TV and Radio is because I met Dr. Jacqueline at Lunch Club during the pandemic. So meeting people and finding groups is very, very positive. When we think of the trick of remote work, we think that we might be alone. But the treat is there's goblins that we can meet all over the place. We have to be intentional about it, but those opportunities are out there. All right, let's look at our third trick or treat. No skeletons in our closet. How do we stay connected as a team? Had people say, isn't it a challenge to keep the team connected and engaged without in-person interactions? Sure, it's not the same. Honestly, in-person and online, not the same. But can you make online gatherings equally as fun? Absolutely, you can, right? Again, it's about being intentional with the team. It's about saying we're going to have regular intentional communication. It fosters a team culture. Also having things like, so for example, when I worked again in the Upwork professionals team, we had people that were meeting around the world. I, being in California and on the Pacific Coast, was the last person. I closed our team down and I handed it off to Japan the following morning. For me, it was fun. And when I was working with the virtual assistant team from the Philippines, when I knew that they were hitting the next day, I was like, oh, good, we're totally getting to Friday because it's already Friday in Japan. And so it's fun to come up with ways of how you can connect your team. One of the things as we're coming up with holidays, one of the things when I worked again at the Upwork Professionals team and at several others, one of the things we did is we created holiday playlists. What are playlists for music and traditions from around the world? Between now and January 10th, let's say, there are 300 million traditions and celebrations that this world is going to celebrate. And so how can we share that and experience it as a group? So when we think about there are no skeletons in our closet, there are ways to stay connected as a team. We're not going to go with skeletons. We want to think of team unity. So some of those, solutions: schedule regular check-ins or stand-up meetings, create a dedicated chat room, whether it be on Teams or Slack or Zoom chat. Create a dedicated chat room that everyone's on where you talk about celebrations, even the water cooler channel, right? Where you might talk about something different. Also organize Zoom happy hours and traditions and celebrate things. The goal is to plan purposeful communication and to celebrate. When we think about it, we can build positive connections. Again, it takes intentionality and fun. Once you start having fun with connections, you're not going to be the only one that's going to be scheduling them. Other people are going to want to participate. So spark the realization that you can connect as a team, even remotely from around the world. Also, back to that holiday playlist, I actually had to tell people no more Mariah Carey Christmas song. Every country and everybody loves that Christmas song, which is great. But I was looking for songs from other countries. You know what I'm saying? But again, we're able to build those connections and learn if we're intentional and realize that having an international team working and available online is a treat and not a trick. It makes us better as a team and it makes our projects better. Let's look at the fourth trick or treat, right? So when it comes to remote working, reality is there's always that question, and we're not going to talk about surveillance and can they see my clip. We know there are ways people and companies monitor to make sure people are working. We're not going to talk about that right now. What I want to talk about is it is important when we're working remotely. One of the questions is, how will they know when I'm spooktacular? I'm concerned about visibility and communicating regular progress of my work. Absolutely. Can that happen? Yes. Can that happen in any job where maybe a boss or people in different positions or different departments don't truly understand what you're doing? Absolutely. This is a real fact, right? People think this is a trick when it's coming remote. One of the things, I will be honest, again, having worked remotely for over 11 years now, people work more remotely than they work in the office. You're going to get more productivity done. And so it's allowing people to do that. But I will say it is a fear. I'm not ghosting. How do I show my hauntingly excellent progress, right? Positive perspectives, intentional open communication and transparency is going to build trust. So people that you're working with know you're getting things done. Let's look at some more solutions. And I also want to share a true story. So a couple of years ago, I started a project and then didn't talk to my boss for 3 months. I would get an occasional email or someone would tell me what I would be working on, but that person was gone for 3 months. And so I pretty early was thinking here, I might be feeling ghosted. How does this person know what I'm doing? How do I share? What do I do? So strategies for sharing progress so we're not ghosting. I will be honest, one of the things I did in that situation is every Friday I sent my boss an update email that said, this is what I've been working on. This is what I finished. I said, this is what I'm working on. This is what I finished. This is what I'm working on next week. If I had any blockers, and then just a funny fact or story for the week. And so I would list those 5 things every Friday. I would send an email. I never got a response. But after 3 months, when my boss came back, my boss was like, hey, I totally knew what you were doing. It was so great. Now, of course, I was like, a response along the way would have helped, but details to me tells. When you think about ghosting and when you think about remote work, there are ways for people to realize that you are getting stuff done. Communicate your online presence and availability to team members. Currently, I work with the team. I'm the only person on the West Coast. So again, my start time is later than everyone else's. But on Monday mornings, I meet at 5 a.m. California time, Pacific time. And so I'm online. So people know, Megan is available for meetings in the morning, right? It's about communicating. But then when we get to Friday afternoon, I don't want meetings scheduled. So it's about communicating preferences and coming together for a group. One thing that's super powerful when it comes to remote work and showing your availability and if you're working or not is to respond. Your responsiveness is going to, even in chats, if you just respond to people, if you're a person that always takes 10 hours to respond, people notice that and then begin to wonder why. Not saying that that's not going to happen sometime, but if you're aware and if when you can, people recognize and realize. If you're focused, eyes down on a project, don't worry about responding and people will get that too. But again, start to realize that your responsiveness builds habits and a perception and people understand if you're available or not, right? We already talked about, again, sending weekly emails, updates. Focus on building confidence and trust with coworkers and clients through transparency. One of the things is I will let people know, hey, we're getting to the time of the year where it's going to be dark at 4:30. I can't be out in the dark because I live in the middle of a forest. So I'm going to go grocery shopping in the afternoon, right? I'm not going to lie about it. I'm going to tell people I'm working in the evening. When you think about it, with the remote work comes some flexibility. So how do we deal with it? Let's be honest about it. Don't try and hide. To me, when people try and hide and aren't honest about their response and reaction, that's when people are going to start to doubt. So it's important to be honest and responsive when you can, and also send communications. At the end of the week or on Mondays, beat your own drum. Hey, I kicked ass last week. This is what I did. Don't you want to know? Absolutely. No ghosting when you're sharing what you've been doing. Let's look at our fifth trick or treat. Monsters, myths, and managing disconnection, right? There is a common complaint. I struggle with maintaining this consistent workflow and managing personal preferences while we're working remotely, right? A lot of times the monsters, myths, and managing disconnections is our personal issue. Has nothing to do with actual everybody else. It is important. So the positive perspective is it is important to be intentional and establish dedicated work environment, habits, and work hours can enhance focus. So it is important. When we work remote, do we have the ability to work whenever? Absolutely. Does that mean we should work whenever? Absolutely not. So it is important when we're working that we have to set up a strong game for ourselves. We need to be on our A game for how am I going to work remotely and also live and have a life and not be working all the time? How am I going to have boundaries? Some of those solutions, again, create a dedicated workspace for better concentration because then it's set up for you. Add pictures, add pens, add whatever you want to that workspace to make it comfortable and someplace you want to go, right? Take necessary items when traveling. One of the joys of remote work is just add Wi-Fi. So have your core things that you take with you when you travel, right? Identify your peak creative times and know that that's when you're going to do it. Lean into it. Again, we're coming to the fall. We're coming to the winter. It's going to be dark at 5 o'clock where I am living, right? So at 5 o'clock, I'm going to have that evening darkness when it's cold and I'm snuggling. It is creative season for me. So we need to get to know ourselves to understand that. It's important to set realistic expectations by communicating your availability and work hours. It is important to set work hours and work strategies. This isn't just for remote work. This is for everyone. For example, I have closed time, right? I have time when I am closed and I tell people, do not expect to hear from me. From when I log off on Friday till when I log on Sunday, that is my time. That don't expect a response from me. If I work on something, I do. But that is my time, right? So communicate that so people know. Be available when needed to build trust and have fun with it. When we think about it, slaying the monsters, tips for an enjoyable work journey are about finding how we're going to slay and have fun. It's about finding out how am I going to make this work environment and experience the absolute best possible. We know we can do it and we know it can happen. So it's just a matter of taking time. So that's why today, my goal has been to wave the wand and create a fun and productive remote work life, right? So that's why we've looked at from tricks to treats. We've looked at from boo to clarity, navigating your path to remote success, right? Goblin gathering, how to have fun ways to forge connections remotely. Build an A team that you can contact when you need. How to build connections as a team. There's no skeletons, it's just team unity. What are ways that even though you're in different parts of the world, you can stay connected? And one of the things I will say is I love getting sunsets from different parts of the team, right? From different parts of the world from the team. So create those connection points. No ghosts here. Strategies. How are you going to share your progress, right? Send updates, be available, tell people what's going on, and then slaying the monsters. It's important for you to identify tips for more enjoyable remote work journey. When we think about it, the opportunities for our work world have expanded immensely over the last years. That doesn't mean that it's easy. It doesn't mean that it's perfect. It means we need to be intentional to find how to be productive and make it the best experience for everybody. I want to thank you for joining me today to talk about spooky myths about remote work, separating fact from fiction. As every week, I hope that you have identified the facts, and I hope that you have identified some tips that are going to help you whenever you're working remotely, or even have just changed, maybe have helped your perspective. Again, I am Megan. I am your favorite strategic productivity partner. You are watching me on USA Global TV and Radio's YouTube channel, where you can see me every Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific. Next week, we will be back and we are going to again talk about something equally as exciting. But I want to thank you for taking time to be intentional with your productivity. My goal for you this week, as every week, is to work smarter, not harder, and to enjoy the life you've worked so hard to create. I'll see you next Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific. Now, here's a word from our sponsor.
Get ready to wear the brand that's changing the world of media. Introducing the official USA Global TV and Radio online store. From our TV show hosts to our incredible global guests, you asked, we delivered. Rep your appearance with pride. Whether you've been on air, hosted a show, or tuned in, we have something just for you. Visit us at usaglobaltvradioshoп.myspreadshop.com and start shopping today. Check back frequently. We're dropping fresh new designs all the time. Showcase your role in our global community. These designs celebrate your voice, your story, your presence. It's more than just merchandise. It's a movement of hope, inspiration, education, and elevated listening. Head to usaglobaltvradioshoп.myspreadshop.com. Your spotlight awaits. USA Global TV and Radio. Elevate your style. Elevate the world.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/usaglobaltv. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.